Hello and welcome to Data Pro News Radio Edition, a podcast where we decode the complex world of data engineering for the next generation of tech professionals. I'm your host, Sam Williams, and today we're diving deep into what might be the most consequential shift in enterprise database technology since the cloud revolution began. If you're a data engineer, what we're about to discuss could fundamentally change how you architect your next data warehouse. We're living through what the industry insiders are calling the database wars, and the outcome will have a bearing on the skills you need to master and which platforms you should be familiar with, and perhaps which companies will dominate the data landscape for the next decade. Before we get started, I wanted to take a moment to share with you today's sponsor, VaultSpeed. The VaultSpeed platform automates every step of database and data lakehouse delivery, enabling rapid, scalable, and compliant data product creation. Its no-code, cloud-native platform reduces manual work, accelerates time to value, and eliminates technical debt, while ensuring data security and adaptability for evolving business needs, all with Data Vault support. Now back to the topic at hand. Today I'm joined by Pascal and Charlotte, courtesy of the miracle of Google's Notebook LM. They're going to discuss a comprehensive new analysis that reveals how Microsoft's Azure Cosmos DB is quietly reshaping the entire competitive landscape. Here's what caught my attention. While everyone's watching the obvious players, AWS with their ecosystem dominance, Snowflake with their analytics prowess, and Databricks with their machine learning capabilities, Microsoft has been methodically transforming Cosmos DB from a simple NoSQL database into what they boldly call a unified AI database. But here's the investigative question we need to answer. Is this marketing hype, or are we witnessing a genuine paradigm shift that will redefine how enterprises manage data? The evidence is compelling, though. Major enterprises like ASOS, Walmart's Jet.com, and Mercedes-Benz are betting their data futures on this platform. We're going to examine the real-world evidence, not just the technical specifications, but actual enterprise implementations that reveal what's working and what isn't. We'll also investigate the uncomfortable questions that industry leaders are asking behind closed doors. Can Microsoft really compete with AWS's comprehensive ecosystem? And is the promise of a unified AI database realistic, or are we looking at another overhyped technology trend? Let's dive in. Pascal, Charlotte, welcome to this deep dive.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being truly well-informed. Today, we're plunging into, the exploding world of data. The demand for fast, smart decision-making is just relentless, and it's creating this arena where tech giants are really battling it out, and the landscape is constantly shifting.
It really is. Always something new.
So our mission today is to tackle this investigative report I read in Data Pro News. It's by Samuel Williams, dated July 9th, 2025. And we're going to unpack a critical question. Can Microsoft's Azure Cosmos DB, can it truly challenge the established titans, the big names in the enterprise data warehouse market?
Yeah, it's a fascinating question because Microsoft isn't just like throwing another data warehouse out there. They seem to be trying to redefine their role, maybe change the game a bit.
Okay, so what are we getting into today then?
Well, we'll explore who the current leaders are, the big players. Then we'll really dig into Cosmos DB's unique strategy, this unified AI database idea they're pushing. And we'll try and pinpoint where it actually shines, where its sweet spot is in this whole competitive landscape. Should give you a good shortcut to understanding this next frontier in data management.
All right, let's set the stage first. Just how big is this battleground? The Data Pro News report paints a mind-boggling picture. The enterprise data warehouse market, EDW, projected to hit, $8.15 billion by 2032?
Yeah, billion with a B.
Yeah.
And that's just the EDW piece.
Right. And then if you zoom out to the broader data warehouse as a service market, it's like $37.84 billion by 2034. That's just enormous.
It truly is huge. And, connecting this to the bigger picture, this growth isn't random. It's really driven by, I'd say, two main things. First, that just insatiable demand for data-driven decisions everywhere. Companies can't compete otherwise. And second, there's this massive ongoing shift from legacy systems, the old on-prem stuff, to the cloud. Cloud-based solutions that are more agile, more scalable.
Makes sense. And in this high-stakes game, there are some serious Goliaths already dominating. The report calls them the Big Four, leading the pack, the current market leader, Snowflake Inc. They've got, almost 20% market share? 19.87%, serving over 11,000 customers. What's their secret sauce?
Well, Snowflake's core strength, it really comes down to its unique architecture. It completely separates compute, the processing power, from storage where the data lives.
Okay, and what does that mean practically?
Think of it like this. Your data sits there, safe and sound. But you can spin up massive processing power only when you need it, for a specific query or job, and then shut it down instantly. So it's not just about scaling efficiently, though it does that really well. It means you pay very precisely for what you use. Plus, different teams can run complex stuff at the same time without, tripping over each other. That independence, plus the near-zero maintenance idea and cross-cloud capability, has made them super popular.
Got it. Okay, so after Snowflake, it's the big cloud providers. Amazon's AWS Redshift is number 2, a formidable force, 14.67% share, over 8,000 customers.
Yeah, Redshift is a beast. It's a petabyte-scale data warehouse service, handles truly massive data sets. It uses columnar storage, organizing data in columns, which is super efficient for analytics and parallel processing. So it chews through analytical workloads really fast. And of course, it's baked right into the huge AWS ecosystem. That's a massive plus if you're already an AWS shop.
But it's not perfect.
Well, no. It has faced some criticism, sometimes around concurrency, lots of queries at once, and maybe delays when you need to resize things or make architectural changes. Can be a bit of a pain point if your needs jump around a lot.
Okay. And hot on its heels, Google BigQuery, also a significant player, holding over 13% market share. What's its defining characteristic? I hear fully managed and serverless a lot. What does that really mean for a data team?
That's a great way to put it, because fully managed and serverless are key to BigQuery. It basically means Google handles all the back-end stuff, servers, patching, scaling. You don't worry about infrastructure. You just load your data and start querying. It really excels at processing huge data sets very efficiently. It's optimized for analytical queries, uses a familiar SQL-like language. And like Redshift in the AWS world, its deep integration with Google Cloud's AI and machine learning services is a big draw, especially for teams doing more advanced analytics.
Right, the ecosystem pull again. And finally, rounding out this big four, we have IBM Db2 Warehouse. Feels like the experienced veteran in the group.
That's a good description. Db2 Warehouse is known for being robust, handles both analytical and transactional processing well. It's often a strong choice for organizations that already have a lot of IBM infrastructure or need hybrid cloud setups mixing on-premise and cloud. It offers pretty comprehensive data management solutions. It's kind of the enterprise stalwart.
So with these four giants really controlling the space, you have to wonder, is there even room for someone else? And this is where Microsoft comes in, but maybe not how you'd expect. They're pivoting with Azure Cosmos DB. And this is where the story gets really interesting, because it seems like they're not playing by the old data warehouse rules.
Exactly. What's compelling is how Cosmos DB has evolved. It started life, primarily as a globally distributed NoSQL database.
Explain NoSQL quickly for us.
Sure. Think flexible, non-relational, built for massive amounts of unstructured or semi-structured data like JSON documents. Key value pairs often spread across the globe. Perfect for operational stuff, applications needing fast, consistent access everywhere. But recently, especially these developments in 2025 mentioned in the report, it's being repositioned. Microsoft is calling it a unified AI database.
Unified AI database.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the goal there?
They're trying to blur the lines. Blur the lines between those fast operational databases and the analytical powerhouses we just talked about. So Microsoft's strategy, it seems, isn't to build another Redshift or Snowflake directly. It's to offer a platform that handles both operational and analytical workloads kind of seamlessly, especially if you're already bought into the Microsoft world.
Okay, you mentioned blurring the lines. What's the key tech letting them do that? What's the breakthrough, and why should businesses care?
The big thing is what's called Hybrid Transactional Analytical Processing, or HTAP. And the main way they enable this is through something called Azure Synapse Link.
Synapse Link.
Right. Yeah. And what this lets you do is run near real-time analytics directly on your live operational data without the usual complex, slow ETL processes, extract, transform, load that normally shuttle data to a separate warehouse.
So no waiting overnight for the data refresh.
Pretty much. For you, this means getting immediate insights from data that's changing right now. Think of an e-commerce site analyzing clicks as they happen, not hours later. And connecting this back, where Redshift might slow down with lots of concurrent queries because of its architecture. Azure Synapse Analytics, pulling data from Cosmos DB via Synapse Link. It separates compute and storage. That means you get faster concurrent processing. You can scale your analytics power separately from your database capacity.
And this 2025 pivot to being AI native, that sounds pretty cutting edge. What does that actually mean for Cosmos DB users? How does it change building AI apps?
It's about building AI capabilities right into the database itself, specifically offering native vector indexing and search.
Vector indexing. Okay, why is that important for AI?
Vectors are basically mathematical representations of data, like text or images. Vector search lets you find data based on its meaning or similarity, not just keywords. So having this built in means you can build AI applications directly on your operational data, like instantly recommending similar products based on complex user behavior stored in Cosmos DB. You avoid shuffling data between systems or relying on separate external vector databases. It really aims to streamline building those modern AI apps.
That ecosystem advantage, especially for companies already using Azure and Microsoft 365, sounds pretty powerful, but are there downsides? Any limitations if you go all in on Cosmos DB, even with Synapse Link and the AI stuff?
That's a fair point. The integration is really tight. Synapse Link for HTAP, native Power BI connectors for dashboards, Azure Functions for serverless code that reacts to data changes. It's compelling. But the primary trade-off, potentially, could be cost if you're only using it for very large, purely analytical workloads and not leveraging its operational strengths, the global distribution, low latency guarantees. Also, while it's incredibly flexible, some really specific, complex analytical queries on highly structured data might still run a bit more optimally on a purpose-built columnar warehouse.
But Microsoft is pushing this integration further.
Yeah, the report mentions Microsoft Fabric, announced in 2025. That seems designed to further solidify Cosmos DB's role in a unified Microsoft data strategy, aiming to smooth over some of that complexity. For you, this translates into, hopefully, less architectural headache, lower operational overhead, and a smoother ride for development teams already skilled in Microsoft tech. Compare that to, say, stitching together various AWS services, which can be powerful but sometimes more complex. Or using Snowflake and Azure works, sure, but it's not a native Azure service, so you might miss some of those really deep integration perks you get with Synapse and Cosmos DB.
Okay, it definitely sounds like Cosmos DB is carving out a unique space. You mentioned it blurs the lines with traditional data warehousing. So where does it really shine in specific industries? Using those HTAP capabilities for analytics on live data?
Exactly. Let's take e-commerce and retail. Think about a global retailer, maybe like ASOS, as the report suggests. Cosmos DB is crucial for them. Real-time product recommendations, instant inventory updates across the globe, handling massive spikes in personalized customer data during sales. It offers single-digit millisecond response times worldwide, which is vital. And things like tunable consistency, letting you balance between absolute data freshness and raw speed, are huge for retail apps. It's quite different from, say, Redshift, which isn't really built for those high-throughput, real-time, customer-facing transactional updates.
Makes sense. What about gaming and media? I imagine the unpredictable user loads there are a huge challenge.
Oh, absolutely. Gaming needs that elastic scalability, massive user bursts when a game launches, managing millions of player profiles, real-time leaderboards, all needing low-latency access from anywhere in the world. Cosmos DB's automatic scaling, just handling load without manual intervention, and its global distribution are tailor-made for that kind of unpredictable, high-demand environment.
Okay, and then IoT and telecommunications. The sheer volume of data must be astronomical.
It is just the volume, the speed, the variety of data coming off millions of sensors or devices. It's immense. So utilities, telcos, oil and gas, they use Cosmos DB for things like real-time billing, managing orders as they happen, processing sensor data for immediate alerts or analysis, especially in scenarios with lots of writes, lots of data coming in. And its horizontal scalability, just add more nodes to handle more load, is a big plus compared to traditional databases like, say, IBM Db2, which often scale vertically, meaning bigger, more expensive machines.
How about sensitive areas like healthcare? Where does it fit given the regulations and need for reliability?
Yeah, healthcare applications often need that low latency access too. Think real-time insurance claims processing, doctors accessing up-to-the-minute patient profiles. Cosmos DB offers guaranteed uptime with strong SLA service level agreements and robust security features. So it could be suitable for those mission-critical healthcare apps, helping modernize legacy systems while meeting strict compliance rules like IPA. It's about fast, reliable, secure access.
And lastly, manufacturing and automotive.
Similar needs, I guess.
Okay.
Global supply chains, connected cars.
Absolutely, very similar drivers. Real-time order processing across factories and suppliers, managing complex just-in-time supply chains, handling data from connected vehicles for diagnostics or updates. The global distribution aspect is key here again. Getting immediate insights from data generated anywhere in a complex global operation, whether it's a factory in Asia or a connected truck in Europe.
Okay, this paints a picture of Cosmos DB finding strong footing in specific areas. But let's get back to the core question. How does it really stack up head-to-head against those market leaders we discussed earlier? Let's start with AWS Redshift. Yeah, it's really not an apples-to-apples fight. Redshift is purpose-built as a columnar data warehouse. Pure analytics is its game. Cosmos DB, fundamentally, is that multi-model NoSQL database for operational stuff, but now with these added HTAP and AI layers. So for pure massive-scale batch analytics on structured data, Redshift is still a very strong contender, especially if you're already living in the AWS world. But for applications that need that real-time operational insight or want to build AI directly onto live data, Cosmos DB, especially using Azure Synapse Link, offers a much more unified approach. And remember that potential concurrency issue with Redshift. Cosmos DB with Synapse, separating compute and storage, is designed to handle that concurrent processing better.
Then what about against Snowflake? The report suggested it's less direct competition, maybe even complementary. Why is that the case?
Yeah, I think that's generally right. It's often more complementary. Snowflake excels as that pure cloud data warehouse for deep structured analytics, business intelligence, historical reporting, that kind of thing. Cosmos DB is primarily about the operational side, running the application, handling transactions in real time. So many companies actually use both, Cosmos DB for the live transactional app, and then they might move data into Snowflake for that deeper long-term analysis. However, with Cosmos DB's analytical abilities getting stronger via Synapse Link, some of those simpler analytical needs, or maybe these hybrid HTAP scenarios, might now be met directly within the Azure ecosystem without needing to move data to Snowflake. It gives you more options now.
Okay, interesting. And versus Google BigQuery, how does Cosmos DB compare there?
Again, different strengths. BigQuery is that fully managed serverless data warehouse, specifically built for analytics at potentially massive scale. Its power lies in crunching complex queries over petabytes of historical data efficiently. And its integration with Google's AI and analytics tools is, top-notch. Cosmos DB, while having analytical features, is fundamentally about the transactional side. Its unique strength is being globally distributed, multi-model, and offering guaranteed low latency for reads and writes. That's something BigQuery just isn't designed for. So BigQuery for complex historical analysis, Cosmos DB for fast, consistent access to dynamic, real-time data across the globe.
Right, different jobs. And finally, how does it compare against the traditional powerhouse, IBM Db2 Warehouse?
Db2 Warehouse is definitely robust, strong on both analytical and transactional processing, often a good fit for existing IBM shops or those needing specific hybrid cloud capabilities. Cosmos DB, though, is truly cloud-native. It's built for horizontal scaling, just adding more standard servers, which generally offers more agility and easier global distribution compared to DB2's more traditional vertical scaling approach, which involves bigger, beefier machines. So for brand-new cloud-native apps needing that global reach, flexible data models, and rapid scaling, Cosmos DB probably has an edge, especially if you're not tied down by existing legacy infrastructure.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, as we finish this deep dive, the main takeaway from the Data Pro News report seems clear. Microsoft isn't necessarily trying to kick Snowflake or Redshift off the top spot for traditional data warehousing with Cosmos DB. It's more of a strategic play.
Absolutely. That's the key insight. It's positioning Cosmos DB as this powerful, unified data platform. It's addressing a really significant growing enterprise need, bringing together those operational and analytical worlds, especially now, with AI becoming so central. They seem to be skating to where the puck is going, anticipating the need for this convergence rather than just fighting the last war.
And for you, listening right now, trying to make sense of all this for your own organization, what's the practical takeaway? Who should really be paying close attention?
Well, if your organization is already heavily invested in the Microsoft ecosystem, Azure, Office 365, Power BI, then Cosmos DB presents a really compelling value proposition. It just fits. That seamless integration, the global distribution capabilities, the flexibility with different data models, and now these growing AI features. It offers a very cohesive and potentially more efficient way to handle diverse data needs. This is particularly true if you're in one of those industries where real-time operational data and that low-latency access are absolutely critical, like the e-commerce, gaming, IoT, or even healthcare examples we talked about.
So it sounds like while the big four, Snowflake, Redshift, BigQuery, maybe DB2 in certain contexts will likely hold their ground for that heavy-duty traditional analytical data warehousing, Cosmos DB is definitely carving out its own important niche.
Exactly. Its strength is unique. Managing that live transactional data globally, performing real-time analytics on it through Synapse Link, and supporting AI workloads natively, all potentially within one integrated platform. And this, I think, raises a really important question for you as someone navigating this constantly changing data landscape. Understanding this nuanced positioning is key. The future of enterprise data management probably isn't about picking just one winner. It might be more about intelligently combining specialized tools for specific jobs and leveraging these emerging unified platforms like Cosmos DB where they make sense. So a final thought is, what does this convergence of operational, analytical, and AI data mean for how you should approach your own data strategy in the coming years?